Hey, what's up, guys, and welcome to Coffee with Chris, where we have a weekly running conversation about woodworking businesses, hobbies, faith, family, whatever really comes up. I use the comments and emails that I get to kind of pick the topics. And we just keep a conversation going from both sides of the camera this way. And we do this in addition to our normal weekly video. And so, welcome. And if you haven't watched, if you didn't watch last week, what I had posed as a topic or a question for this week was about if you had developed a woodworking business and you came up with one, kind of give some success stories or an idea of how that happened or what you're doing. And so we did have a few comments this week. Now, we did have one that gives a specific example of someone building a business around a very specific niche, which is super cool. And then we had some comments that gave us some great just tips or advice from themselves working on a woodworking business and just some a good solid grounded advice on how to kind of get going on that. And so let's go over these and let's talk about them, and then we'll get to next week's topic. So here we go. The first couple kind of have some very similar advice, so I wanted to put those together. And the first one is from our friends at Elm Woodworking. They've been watching and commenting every week. This is our fourth video of this series, and so we certainly appreciate you continuing to come back and to be engaged with me and give me some actually fantastic comments every week. So let me read this out for you. It says, "Hey Chris, woodworking can become a sustainable business. Early on, you likely lean on your existing network of family, friends, and past clients to get things moving. From there, your projects and client base will evolve as your skills and capabilities grow. You might start out at craft shows and farmers markets selling smaller items to build visibility and confidence, and over time, they can transition into larger, more custom work like furniture." It says, "In the beginning, it makes sense to cast a wide net and take on a variety of projects to see what sticks. Eventually, time becomes a limiting factor, and that is when you start choosing the type of work that best fits your interests and your strengths. Once you find that niche, your marketing becomes more focused and effective because you're targeting the right clients instead of trying to target everyone." That man, again, they Elm Woodworking. Obviously, they have they have a woodworking business. They have got some experience doing this stuff, and they always have fantastic advice for us every week. And this is no different. I wanted to hit on real quick when they talk about leaning on your network. Um, Man, that is so true. When you first get started, you use your friends, your family. That is your proving ground. If you're, your brother-in-law, your mother-in-law, your own mom, um, if they're not really digging what you're making, you may want to evaluate or reevaluate, I should say. But it all joking aside, that's really what we do: is we make some stuff, we give it away for gifts, we give it away to friends and family, and we see if they're interested in it. Maybe we hint around to them that if they have anybody they know that might want one of these things, whatever it is we're building. Hey, I sell them for just this much, and that's really how you get your feet wet. That's kind of your trial and error is to find out what people like or don't like is your closer circle, and then from there, yeah, you absolutely you kind of venture out into farmers market or craft shows if you've got those in your area and you're interested in doing those, and that kind of does let you cast a wider net, especially at first and trying all kinds of different things. We've talked about that on a few of the tips videos that I've made, and just try out some different stuff. And then, yeah, you certainly will get your footing and kind of figure out what you want to do and start to niche down. And then, yeah, like he says, you can really just kind of hone in on your marketing and your target clientele, especially if you really niche down into something super specific. And you can certainly do that. So I want to read the next one. It's got some similar advice. This is from Thomas Duger, I believe. Duger, I believe it's going to be Duger. Good Sunday morning to you, brother. Good morning to you. I have been in the woodworking arena for the last 40 years in some form, along with being a career mechanic. All right, so you have put in your time, my friend. I decided in 2021 to form an LLC so I could set up something to do for my retirement years. He says he's 54 at this current time. Says, I made it a point to be mindful of the balance of work or family, work and side business, but it can be very challenging. It certainly can. He says, most of the work I do is cabinetry based, and I have done other things like interior doors and fireplace mantles. So specific items, but larger items as well, for sure. He said, I ended up taking 2025 off because it just got to be too much, and my love for the hobby almost died. Man, we talked about that in previous weeks about, how do you blend those two things, your hobby and turning into a business? Can you do it without it killing your love for the hobby? And that's anything. That's not just woodworking. That could be, I use an example of working on cars about a mechanic, or there's really anything. Man, so he stepped back, and sometimes that's what you got to do. You got to step back, you reevaluate, and you kind of make sure that what you're doing is the right direction to go in. So I think that's smart. He says, ironically, I just paid off my equipment for the first time in 4 years. Or I had just paid it off, and so he was a debt-free business. Well, congratulations on that, first of all, for being a debt-free business. Sometimes people go that way, especially if you're doing cabinetry and things. Maybe you got to buy some bigger equipment, some more specialized stuff. For people like me that kind of went the hobby route and making little crafts and not having any clue what you wanted to do starting off. We were able to start off debt-free and just buy a little more inexpensive equipment going along. But certainly, I would say probably the bigger amount of people, they do buy bigger stuff, more specified things, and equipment that may be particular to what they're wanting to do, especially if they already know what they're wanting to do. And so, life is life sometimes, and you buy things and then you pay on it. And but congratulations are in order for having all that paid off. And now moving forward, man, it's all profit, right? It's all profit from there in terms of the equipment. So you got your expendables, obviously, your regular consumable type things. But congratulations on getting your paid equipment. In all seriousness, we talk about that on the channel all the time, and that is a fantastic place to be for sure. He goes on to say, my advice would be to start slow and create the terms with your clients that work for you. God will supply the right clients, and you will have peace in what you do. Sorry for the long message there, but there's so many more details I could share. Love in Christ, Tommy. You may have seen me jump. We've got a big thunderstorm going on today, and a big old boom and some lightning. I can see it out of the corner of my eye coming down. So it kind of made me jump a little bit. But yeah, starting slow, man. That is fantastic advice. You start slow and figure out what works for you. He says create terms that work for you. And what he's meaning is, if you don't have the capability of doing X over here, building cabinets, we'll use his example. He built cabinets. If you don't have the space to do that, the capability to do it, the equipment to do it, or whatever it is, first of all, don't get into that right away, and don't start promising people that you're going to do that. You don't have the ability to do it, and you're going to end up shooting yourself in the foot. Even if you are able to do something, or say you're making signs or cutting boards, whatever you're doing, don't also overpromise. You don't want to tell people you can get stuff done in a week, but yet you're busy. You got a full-time job, you got a family, you got kids, all that stuff we talk about, and you're not able to get to doing things in the time frame that you promise them. There's no easier way to stunt your potential business than doing that kind of thing up front. Give yourself time. I always said, even when it was back in the retail world, when I worked for a Fortune 500, optical company, you under promise and over deliver. They would much rather you call them sooner, before you told them it was going to be ready, than way after you told them it was going to be ready. So, man, that is great advice, Thomas, and thank you so much for writing in. Do not worry about the long message, my friend. We'll go over them. I've said before on this little, this Coffee with Chris show, if we've got time, I'll read everything. If we start getting a lot of comments every week on this show, then I may have to pick and choose a little bit. But for now, we're going to try to get them all in. I appreciate everyone taking their time to comment and to take time out of your life to watch and comment. So I certainly want to honor that as much as I'm able to, and read the comments and go over them. So again, thank you so much. Let's move on to M. Blackford 100. He's written in several times now, and certainly thank you for that. No doubt about it. Says, hey, Chris, a gentleman in my area, he lives up near Michigan, or in Michigan, it says, he was a client of mine. He says, I'm a home inspector. That's something we got in common. I've mentioned it on the videos. That's what I did for this past 7 years until this year, actually. And I enjoyed it. It was rewarding and demanding also stressful at times. But man, I appreciate you dropping that on me, fellow home inspector, and certainly you put in the work. I I know you do because my body feels it still. Even I haven't done that in several months now. So, um, but he said uh, he had a client of his that was a truck driver, and on his downtime, he started building wood duck nesting boxes as a hobby, selling them at local shows and through local conservation groups. After a few years of this, he turned his hobby into a full time business that builds nesting boxes for multiple species of birds and animals. First of all, how cool is that? Like, as a guy that's a hunter and outdoor lover, man, that is so neat. And you talk about finding a specific niche and finding a way to market it and to sell it. Working with conservation companies and uh, conservation groups and things like that, and especially if you're in an area where the outdoor and nature is a big deal, man. What a way to really hone in what you're wanting to do. And congratulations to that guy, your client, for figuring that out, doing something he enjoys doing, and figuring out a way to get it out there and turning it into a business. Man, I mean, that's what we're all trying to do, or a lot of us are trying to do, anyways. He continues on. He says, like any business, it definitely takes dedication to honing your craft, realizing where you need to improve, and be willing to take the steps necessary to improve the areas you're weak. In the areas you're weak. For example, it may require you to learn how to better promote your online store, how to better interact with customers face to face, or be willing to take feedback from them uh, without taking it personally. Yeah, man. I mean, uh, that's the only way to do it is figure out what you need to work on, and you just got to put in the work. You got to figure it out. As somebody who was in customer service in a retail environment for 20 something years before I started doing the home inspection stuff, that was one thing I did feel confident going into opening that home inspection business and doing what I'm doing now, was that I felt like, if nothing else, I did have a heads up on dealing with customers, dealing with clients, handling feedback, troubleshooting, handling issues if they come up. And, you know, that happens in home inspections. You can't make everybody happy. Occasionally somebody will take issue with something you did or didn't do, whether you were in the right or not. And you certainly know that, being one of them. And yeah, having the ability to deal with those things definitely is a plus. And so, yeah, working on the areas you're weak and taking the steps to improve, that's all you can really do, is to continue to improve. When I started this YouTube channel and I was doing research on how to grow a channel and how to get better at these things, especially when you weren't used to them, you know, that was one thing that a lot of people said, is they said, try to get 1% better every video. And you're like, what does that mean? Well, it means just what it sounds like. Try to do one thing slightly better every video. So, man, thank you so much. And we definitely look forward to hopefully continue more comments from you. Hey, I want to throw in something real quick before we read the last one, because the last comment really leads into next week's topic. I kind of got this from a few other people that I found, but something I really would love to do on this Coffee with Chris show is show builds, share builds that you guys are doing, share builds and things you're working on, projects. I would love to put that on the show and share that with everybody watching. So I want to put my email down here again. I do it every show. Not only, please, if you don't want to comment on the video itself for our weekly topics, feel free to send me an email. You know, some people are more comfortable doing that. Either way, I'll get them. But man, if you would send me pictures, and if you want to include some commentary, some dialogue, or some, you know, what it is and how you came about it, I'm happy to do that too. But send me photos of things you're working on, things you've built, things you're creating, projects you're doing. I would love to get that stuff, and I would love to put it on this weekend morning show. Yeah, it's going to make it a little longer, but, you know, just drink more coffee, right? So I send me those pictures, because I would love to share with people what you're doing and what everybody's creating, give you credit for it, and just put it out there. I think that'd be really fun, and again, create things we can talk about. So send those to my email. Let's see if we can get a few of them in for next week. Obviously, if we get 4 or 5, we can probably show them all. If we get 20 of them, I may have to divide them out over the weeks, but I promise you, if you send them in to me, I will get to them. All right, so let's get to the last comment here. Now, this is from my friend. I butchered his name last week. I butchered it, or his handle, I should say, not his name. And he wrote back in, and along with some comments, but clarified, clarified his name for me. And this is Just Jake Gray in Oklahoma. So this was the one that I thought was maybe just joking last week, but Just Jake Gray in Oklahoma. We're going to call you Jake in Oklahoma for short. And I appreciate you writing back in. He starts off explaining. He says, "Thanks for the shout out." He explains how you actually what the handle is. I just told you that. He said maybe I need to edit it to make it easier to pronounce. Hey, I got you now, my friend. I got you now. He said, "I have always enjoyed fabricating things and building things, and I think it would be awesome to have a YouTube channel and maybe start a business. But I don't know how or where to start a venture like that. Any suggestions would be greatly appreciated." All right, let's get on that. First of all, starting a YouTube channel. Let me take a few minutes on that. Bear with me, guys. Bear with me. It's going to be a little longer than the previous episodes of Coffee with Chris. Man, it is getting noisy out there. My office has got a giant picture window right over here to this side of me, and man, it's gnarly out there today. But so yeah, YouTube channel, man, it has been fun. Certainly, there are a lot of YouTubers out there. Some people have made 3 videos 7 years ago. They still got their channels. Some people make 6, 8 videos a week. I don't know how they do that. They have full creative teams and full editors and those kind of things, I assume. But and you can do shorts. If you don't want to make long videos and detailed things, there's people that just do shorts. There's people that just do long. There's people that do both. What I'll tell you is this, and this is just shooting it straight. It is definitely more work than what I think people think it will be. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing. One, it probably depends on how much time you got and how much time you're willing to devote to it. But it is. A video like this, for example, I'm just sitting here talking to the camera. I do very little editing on these videos. I put my email on the screen or I put you guys' comments up. That's about it. I don't do a lot of editing with this type of video. But even that, it takes the time to film it. How many takes are you going to do of this? I try to do it in one take, keep it as natural as possible for these things. And then it still takes just a little bit of time to edit. Now, a video like we're out in the shop and we're building something or making something, man, sometimes that can be days and days of filming. I will tell you this, when you're building something and making a video out of the build, to me, it takes 5 times longer to build it because you got to stop, check your camera, change angles, have multiple angles, make sure your lighting's good. You got to explain things. You got to whatever it is you got to do for that build. It definitely takes more time. So that adds another aspect to your builds, right? And then the editing itself, it takes me, for example, a 20-minute build video out in the shop. It takes me a whole day to edit it, probably. Did y'all just see the lights just flashed off? Really storming. So it takes a whole day to edit it. So, I mean, it is definitely work. And if you don't know how to do that stuff, I had to learn how to do the editing, and that was intimidating. Since I've learned that, we're good to go. Building a business, same type of thing. You just got to figure out what you want to do. Like some other people suggested, cast a wide net, try some different stuff, see what you like, and you'll work your way down. But, it's trial and error. It's all trial and error. And sometimes there's a little cost to that trial and error. Sometimes you can do it, more on a budget like I've tried to do things. But again, like I said before, I wouldn't let fear slow you down and stop you from trying something you want to do. I'll give you an example. I was scared to death about doing the editing software. I'm not a computer guy, not a tech guy. It wasn't as hard as I thought it was going to be. I found a really good video where a guy on YouTube went through with a particular software that I use. There's a lot of those out there. And he went through and you could download the video that he was editing in his tutorial video. So I put one of them up on my laptop next to me. I put the editing software up on my computer. I loaded his video that he shared, and you edit along with him one step at a time. And so you really learn a lot of the stuff. And then, of course, you learn more as you go. Something I'm getting ready to tackle next week that I've been putting off. I told you guys in the shop tour video that I'd bought a laser engraver to just try to add an extra thing to, craft shows and farmers markets. And then I'm also getting ready to put out a catalog of products for realtors. I was a home inspector. I know a lot of realtors in my area, and so I'm getting ready to make a product catalog for them for their closing gifts for their clients. Next week, I'm going to be working on a few of those. I don't have the catalog out yet, but I'm going to be working on a few gifts for one of the realtors. But I want to add laser engraving as an option to customize things. That thing scares me to death. I keep pointing over there because it's over on the other side of my office. It scares me to death, and I've got the software downloaded. I've got the machines put together. I just haven't got to it yet because it intimidates me because that is so far out of my wheelhouse. I know once I sit down and get working on it, I'll figure it out. But man, I've been putting it off. But man, just get started. Just get started. Whatever you want to do. And one thing I want to say is this last Tuesday, if you guys keep up as my videos come out, my wife and I put out a video, and it was a marathon. It was an hour long. It was way longer than we usually do. Surprisingly, to our surprise, we've got some really good responses to it. But we put out a video on some business startup basics, dealing with more of the like office side of things, like how do you keep your numbers and keep your records and for taxes and keep up with figures and things like that. Kind of the data side of the business thing, which is my wife's wheelhouse, and that's what she does for a living for a big university system. So here in the state. So I don't do that stuff. Thank goodness I married somebody that did, I guess. And then my mother-in-law is a CPA, so that we do have a track for that. That does help. But we put a video out this past Tuesday that talked about a bunch of kind of basic business building advice and tips. So check that out if you're interested in that kind of stuff. But one thing we're going to be doing is over the next several months, we're going to be putting out more of those videos that are specific to particular topics in the videos. So this first one was a wider net of things, but we've got some feedback and got some questions and got some requests for some specific videos. So for example, one that we're going to be putting out here in the next maybe 3 weeks probably is going to be how to build a spreadsheet and format it to your business to help you keep a running total, a running tally on all your numbers and all your things you'll need for when it's tax filing time. And my wife can build them from scratch, so she's going to do a tutorial on how to build that. We've had several requests already since Tuesday, since the video came out, for that very thing. So she's going to be doing that, and then we're going to be doing some other specific videos about some business building topics. So keep an eye out for those if you're interested in that, and hopefully that will help you out. It's just things that we've done that have worked. It's not, it's not the absolute. But that's going to lead us into, well, before next week's topic, I did have one more comment. I said I had 4. I actually had 5 this week. My brother-in-law, by the way, he was on the video that we made, interview with a whittler. I always say that wrong, whittler. That was one of my brother-in-laws, Michael, and he left a comment this week. If you hadn't seen that video, by the way, check it out. We haven't had a lot of people watch it, but it's fantastic. I think it's pretty funny. The guy's super talented, and he's sharing his hobby of whittling that he started not too long ago. And man, I think it's a cool video. We had fun doing it, even though we were in a tornado, basically filming it. And so please feel free to check that out. I'd love for you to watch it and check out his talent and his skill. And despite all the technical difficulties we had with wind blowing cameras over and all that sort of thing, we think it's a pretty cool video. And so check it out if you're interested in something like that. But he left me a comment this week that said, "Do you ever actually drink your coffee?" Yeah, I do. Now I'm poking fun at him. If you saw that earlier, I put his name on my cup. But I drink my coffee before I talk, and I drink it after. And I drink a lot of coffee. So yes, my friend, my brother-in-law, Michael, I do drink my coffee. I guess he noticed I never actually drink it on the videos. So, but let's wrap up. For next week, let me say again real quick, thank you so much for watching. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for supporting the channel. Man, it's been a blast, and I continue to hopefully can just bring a variety of stuff and things you guys are interested in. But the question for next week kind of leans into that, and it kind of goes off my friend Jake in Oklahoma's comment and lead us into the next topic of what kind of stuff would you guys like to see from a business building standpoint in some videos in the future. We've had a lot of requests off this video this past week for my wife to do a tutorial on making spreadsheets and how to do that in Excel. So that's something we're going to be putting out here in the next 3 weeks or 4 weeks or so. And then, but what else would you like in that realm? I know building stuff, I know woodworking, but is there anything that we can make a video, a regular full length video on that may help anybody out in terms of starting the woodworking business, craft fair setup, uh, taking payment, record keeping, um, preparing for tax time, um, anything in that realm? We'd love to do that if that would help somebody out and help somebody get going and get you a little more confident, because the office side of things, the money side of things, man, that can be super intimidating. So, what can we do to help out with that? Again, we're not professionals. We're not, CPAs. We have one, at the farm I go to all the time. It's where she lives. But that's not what we do, but we just know what's worked for us and what we've tried. And so maybe through our trial and error, maybe we can save you some of that headache and give you a few things that may help you out. So what would you like to see us do those a tutorial type of video on, or a tips video on, when it comes to the business side of some kind of woodworking venture? So send that stuff in to me. Send me in your build pictures. Tell me what you're working on, or why you built that, or what it's made out of. Give me a description of it. I would love to share it on this weekend morning show. I mean, what better way to get up on a Saturday morning and check out some cool woodworking from just everyday people that do it? I can't think of anything, a better way to spend my time drinking my coffee. We watch stuff anyways. We might as well check out some cool woodworking projects with people. So send them in so I can share them to everybody. Man, thank you so much for joining me. I know this went a little long again today. If we add pictures of builds, it may go a little long, but I'm cool with it. I'm here to do it if you're here to watch it. So thank you again. Take care. Remember, we were created for a purpose. So go out there and create with purpose. And after you do, share it with me so I can share it with everybody else. Y'all take care and be blessed.